Hello and welcome to the Civil War and Reconstruction note card review video. All you need is a bunch of note cards and a couple pieces of paper because we're going to do about 4 note cards and then we're going to take a break, study for 2 minutes, and then we're going to take a quiz. So let's go. First note card out. I want you to title it Causes of the Civil War. Please title it Causes of the American Civil War. Cool, great, good, awesome, lovely. Here we go. Flip to the other side and we are going to list a number of causes of the Civil War. We're not going to go into much detail, but we are going to list them. Number 1, please put failed slave compromises. Failed slave compromises. They always wanted to fix the issue of slavery with a compromise, but obviously they didn't work because we did have Civil War. It started with the Missouri Compromise, then the Compromise of 1850, and then the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Cool. Hey, next one. Publication of Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote a book after the Fugitive Slave Act was popular about the horrors of slavery in the South. Many people read it, and it made them more abolitionists, more against slavery. Next one. The Dred Scott decision. Please put Dred Scott decision. Dred Scott was a slave who was in free territory and wanted to become free, so he sued to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, you have no rights because you are an African American, and they said that slavery was free to expand all the way west. That led to the Civil War. Next one, Northern abolitionists versus Southern defenders of slavery. You have Northern abolitionists like John Brown who tried to get rid of slavery with a slave revolt at Harper's Ferry. And then you have Southern defenders of slavery like the folks that or Preston Brooks who beat Charles Sumner with a cane for critical remarks about slavery. I'll put in ineffective presidential leadership. You know, some of the worst presidents in the United States were president during the 1850s because they did not do much to stop the crisis leading to Civil War. And last one, please put Abraham Lincoln calling for troops in 1861. We are going to do a key sequence in which this is involved in, but once Lincoln calls for troops, then Virginia and the Upper South secede, and war is on. All right, we have all these causes. Are we good? Please pick up another note card. Please title this one Compromise of 1850, the Compromise of 1850. Got it. Flip to the other side. Let's throw some things down. You know, this is the compromise over what are we going to do with California. Is California going to be slave or is it going to be free? California becomes a free state. Please put free state for California. What's a premium way to remember this? California's got a football team, the 49ers. That's because everybody went to California in 1849. So 1 year later, they decided what kind of state they would be. That's why it's the Compromise of 1850. Now, you still had lots of land in the Southwest Territories. Popular sovereignty would be used in remaining Southwestern territories. Popular sovereignty is where the residents of a territory vote for themselves whether they want it to be slave or they want it to be free. Hey, we got 2 of the 4, man. We got 2 of the 4. Let's do the third one. A harsh fugitive slave act is passed in the South. This is a law that said that you had, if you were in the North, you had to turn in any person who was assumed to be a runaway slave. So it's catching runaway slaves living in the North and sending them back into slavery in the South. And last one, the slave trade is banned in D.C. Now, this is not slavery. This is just the slave trade, the buying and selling of slaves in the capital city of the United States. And those are the Compromise of 1850. Hey, I know these are long cards. We're going to get some easy cards, man. Here comes an easy card. We already kind of talked about it. Please put Uncle Tom's Cabin. Uncle Tom's Cabin. Please put Uncle Tom's Cabin. Here we go. 1852, write 1852. It was written by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Harriet Beecher Stowe. That is the author. And then write this. Uncle Tom's Cabin changed the Northern view of African Americans and slavery. Folks who didn't care much about the issue of slavery, who read Uncle Tom's Cabin, cared a lot more about slavery. They read the horrific stuff that was done to Uncle Tom, the main character, and said, my gosh, is this stuff happening in the South? We need to do something about it. Sold 300,000 copies in its first year. It was behind only the Bible in terms of popularity. Let's go to the next card. Please put Kansas-Nebraska Act. Man, this is a big one. Major slave compromise that gets bloody real quick. Here we go. Please put it repealed the Missouri Compromise. You know, above the line, the Missouri Compromise line, which is where the Kansas-Nebraska Territory was supposed to be free. But instead it gave the residents of Kansas and Nebraska the choice, which is popular sovereignty, over slavery. So if they voted to go slave, then you can understand how this would be a problem. Next one. The law produced bloody fighting in Kansas, because it was in Kansas over that vote of whether to be slave or free that there was fighting between abolitionists and defenders of slavery to make Kansas either be slave or be free. This last thing led to the birth of the Republican Party. The Republican Party was born, a political party that will go up against the Democrats, which is against the spread of slavery. And now Kansas, Nebraska is a law which is spreading slavery. Okay? Good, great, awesome. Love it. Perfect. Hey, it's quiz time because learning is fun. I agree. Hey, those are tough cards, man. There's a lot of stuff on there, right? Let's set an alarm. I'm going to go to my phone right now, and I'm going to set an alarm. I'm thinking 2 minutes, and let's see. What should we listen to, do you think? Set the alarm. Do you guys want to listen to Ripples? Yeah. I think we should listen to Ripples. Okay, cool. I'm going to set that alarm. Hey, I'm going to pause myself. You pause me too. When you're done, when your alarm goes off in 2 minutes and you've studied the cards, then we will meet again. You enjoy your studying. I will be reading The Definitive History of the Civil War. Whoa! Whoa! Wow. Is it time already? Is it already time? Wow. Hey, take out a blank piece of paper. Blank piece of paper, your first quiz. You're going to have to turn this quiz into your teacher when this is done. Let's go. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Sweet, 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 sweet. Now listen, I'm going to give you some questions. You do not have to write the questions down. You just look at the questions and then write the answer to the question. Ready? Number 1. What was banned in D.C. according to the Compromise of 1850? Please tell me what was banned in D.C. according to the Compromise of 1850. Got it? 2. Who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin? Who was the author of Uncle Tom's Cabin? Cool. 3. List all causes of the Civil War. Write small. Hey, this is a tough one, okay? But just do your best because knowing all of these will help you a lot on the test. So please put all the causes of the Civil War that we discussed. Do your best, okay? Hey, if you need some more time, hit pause, okay? If you haven't hit pause, let's go to number 4. Number 4, the Republican Party was formed in reaction to what? Why was the Republican Party formed? For what reason? Okay? Cool. Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Hey, let's review these. Go to number 1. What was banned in D.C. according to the Compromise of 1850? And that is the slave trade. Please put the slave trade was banned according to the Compromise of 1850. Very good. Number 2, who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin? The answer is Harriet Beecher Stowe. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. Very good. Number 3, list all causes of the Civil War. Write small. Let's go over a couple of these. Ready? Number 1, failed compromises. Now, it doesn't have to be in any order, but failed compromises will be very important. Please put Uncle Tom's Cabin, the publication of Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Please put the Dred Scott decision, right? Please put Southern defenders of slavery versus Northern abolitionists. How about ineffective presidential leadership, bad presidents? And let me get Abraham Lincoln calling for troops in 1861, right? I believe those are the big ones we talked about. Double check with your note card and you'll be good. Number 4, the Republican Party was formed in reaction to what? the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which was going to spread slavery by overturning the Missouri Compromise. Therefore, the Republican Party was against it. Cool. All right. These are going to go faster. That was the toughest set that took the longest amount of time. This will go quicker. Please take out note cards, blank note cards. I want you to title this one the Dred Scott decision, which we've kind of already talked about. But we're going to talk about it again. Here we go. Please put in 1857. It's a Supreme Court decision which stated. It stated something. What did it state? Supreme Court decision in 1857. Number one, say that African Americans were not citizens. Specifically, it said that Dred Scott couldn't sue in court because he wasn't a citizen, because all African Americans are citizens. They do not have the same rights as whites. Number two, the federal government could not outlaw slavery in the territories. Slavery is free to expand all the way west into the territories. The Dred Scott decision was a dreadful decision. You guys got it? Good. Great, awesome. Here we go, next one. John Brown's raid. John Brown was an intense guy, wanted to get rid of slavery entirely. Write this down. In 1859, John Brown had a failed attempt to seize the federal armory at Harper's Ferry and start a slave revolt. There was a stash of guns in Harper's Ferry that the U.S. government had. He wanted to get all those guns. Unfortunately for him, it was a failure. He was surrounded by Robert E. Lee, and he was put on trial and later executed. You know what? The second one, put this down. His attempt further divided the North and South over slavery. You know what this is an example of? The Northern abolitionists battling Southern defenders of slavery, because John Brown certainly was a Northern abolitionist. So please put that it divided the North and South over slavery, and the John Brown card is done. Next one. The election of 1860. It was muy importante. That's Spanish for very important. Republican Abraham Lincoln wins the election based on sectional feeling. Lincoln doesn't win any southern states. Ooh, it should say doesn't win. I'm sorry. You want to add that in. Lincoln doesn't win any southern states. He only wins states in the north. You know, he didn't win a majority of the popular vote either. He only won part of the country, which shows how much the country was divided by sections. The lower South thought that Lincoln would free slaves. They feared his slavery positions. So they decided to secede, which means leave the United States of America. That's why the election of 1860 is so important, because it divides the country into two different countries. Cool, good, great, awesome, love it. You in love with it? Let's go to the next one. Next one, please put key Civil War sequence. This is the sequence where Bobo gets loose. Got to remember this sequence. You guys ready? Here we go. Lincoln elected president in 1860. Write that. Lincoln elected president in 1860. Okay? So we just said what happens. What happens next? The lower South seceded from the Union. They left the Union. Now, they also wanted possession of a fort in Charleston, South Carolina called Fort Sumter. The North had it, so they fired on it. The South fired on Fort Sumter. Abraham Lincoln says, "You fired on my forts. We got war, baby." He calls for troops. Abraham Lincoln called for federal troops in 1861. This caused the upper South to secede. Virginia is in the upper South. So they seceded. And who got loose? Bobo got loose. Got this key Civil War sequence? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Hey, it's quiz time. It's time for another quiz. You may not have done too well on the last one. I bet you'll do better on this one. Should we listen to Stargaze? Or Uplift? I think we should do Uplift. I agree. Hey, take 1 to 2 minutes. I'm going to pause myself. You pause me. While you're doing this and I'm waiting, I'll be reading The Definitive History of the Civil War. Oh my, is it time already? Oh, I was just getting the HGBs reading that. Okay, take out a blank piece of paper, Here we go. Number it 1. Number it 2. Number it 3. Number it 4, 4, 4. You know how this rolls, baby. I'm going to throw some questions in here. You don't have to write them down. Just write the answer. Number 1. Which Supreme Court case stated that slavery was free to expand west into the territories? There was a Supreme Court case which stated that. What was it called? What was it called? You got it? You good? All right, number 2. Who attempted to start a raid on Harper's Ferry's federal armory? Some guy tried to take down Harper's Ferry. Who was that guy? Who was that guy? Name, name, name. First name, last name, first name, last name. Good. 3. In which year did Abe Lincoln get elected president? It was considered to be the most important presidential election. What year was it? What year was it? What year is it? Put the year. We good? Hey, let's go to 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. What happened after Lincoln called for federal troops in 1861? That's that key Civil War sequence. Give you a hint. It's not when Bobo got loose. Okay? Something happens after that. Then Bobo gets loose. All right, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. 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 Hey, let's go to number 1. Which Supreme Court case stated that slavery was free to expand west into the territories? That would be the Dred Scott decision. No rights for African Americans. Slavery can go all the way west. Dreadful. 2. Who attempted to start a raid on Harper's Ferry? Well, he did start the raid. It just didn't work out. That guy's name was John Brown. John Brown is the answer to number 2. Number 3. Which year did Abraham Lincoln get elected president? The year is 1860, 1860. Most important, sectional impact, baby. The sections of the country were divided in that election. 4. What happened after Lincoln called for federal troops in 1861? The Upper South seceded. That includes Virginia. And once the Upper South secede, Bobo gets loose. Let's take out some new note cards here. Let's do 4 more. Man, I'm feeling 4 more. Let's go. Please write Jefferson Davis. Jefferson Davis. Thomas Jefferson. All right, it's just Jefferson Davis. All right. This is going to be an easy one. Here we go. President of the Confederate States of America. They had to have a president too, right? The North had a president. They had Abraham Lincoln. Now the South has one too. He was a former senator from Mississippi from the Deep South. And now he's in charge of the Confederate States of America. Hey, guess what? That card's done, man. Easy card, easy card, easy card. Love it. Next one, here we go. Fort Sumter. Fort Sumter's in Charleston, South Carolina. It was in 1861. It was the first confrontation of the Civil War. That means like a clash of forces. It's the first shots fired because the Confederates fired on Fort Sumter. Hey, it's not the first battle. The first big battle was Bull Run, or the first Battle of Manassas. It's the first shots fired. Abraham Lincoln responds by calling for federal troops. Remember our sequence, right? Lincoln elected, Lower South secedes, Lower South fires on Fort Sumter, Lincoln calls for troops, Upper South secedes, that includes Virginia, Bobo gets loose. We got Fort Sumter done? Let's do another one. Please put the border states. What are border states? B-O-R-D-E-R, states, states, states. States, 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 states. Hey, these are states with slavery that remained loyal to the United States during Civil War. So some states still had slavery, but they remained loyal to the United States of America. Okay? What states were they? Well, they were Missouri, Maryland, Delaware, and Kentucky. Those were all called the border states. Okay? Hey, I know what you're thinking. How am I ever supposed to remember this? Don't you worry. I thought of a pretty way for us always to remember this. You ever heard of Madonna? Madonna used to have a song called Borderline. It sounds like this. That sounds a lot like border states, right? Borderline, border states, Madonna. I wish she came up with great songs like that, but unfortunately she really doesn't have a lot of good songs anymore. It's kind of like Miss Missouri. Madonna, M-A, Maryland. Don't, Delaware. No, Kentucky. Premium or not premium? That's premium. Cool. Let's do another one. Please put First Battle of Manassas. First Battle of Manassas, Virginia. Who won the First Battle of the Civil War, North or South? The South did. It was the first major battle of the Civil War, and it was a Confederate victory. It shows that the war is going to take a long time. Who was the hero of the First Battle of Manassas? Stonewall Jackson is the hero, because while all, or I should say a lot of the Confederate forces were running away, Stonewall Jackson stood there like a stone wall. It's where he got the nickname. He was the hero of the battle. Sweet. Hey, another quiz. Yeah, baby. I'm ready for another quiz. I'm thirsty, baby. Hey, feed me. Hey, what should we listen to? Should we listen to Opening? Oh, that's the one. No, I don't like that. That's the one everybody. What about Hillside? No, I don't like that either. What about Cosmic? Yeah, I like this one. Hey, okay, we'll set that. Do it 2 minutes. I'd set 2 minutes to study, right? And while you're studying, I'll be reading The Definitive History of the American Civil War. Okay. It's time already? Wow. Okay. Take out a piece of paper, blank piece of paper. Here we go. Label it 1, label it 2, label it 3, label it 4. Ready for some questions? I'm ready for some questions. Here we go. Number 1. Who was the president of the Confederacy? Who was the president of the Confederate States of America? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Write his name. Go to 2. Where were the first shots fired in the Civil War? What location were the first shots fired? Sweet. 3. List the 4 border states during the Civil War. Number 4. Who was the hero of the First Battle of Manassas? I bet you guys are just killing these questions right now. You're just absolutely destroying them. Feeling good, right? Ready to get a good grade? Maybe go to the Triple Digit Club? Hey, maybe this could be your time in the Triple Digit Club. Let's go over these questions. Number 1, who was the president of the Confederacy? Raise your hand. Yeah, you. Oh, Jefferson Davis? That's right. It was Jefferson Davis. Number 2, where were the first shots fired in the Civil War? That is at Fort Sumter. Fort Sumter. Number 3, list the 4 border states. Well, don't you know that Miss Madonna don't know? Miss Missouri, Madonna, Maryland, don't, Delaware, no, Kentucky. 4. Who was the hero of the First Battle of Manassas? That is Stonewall Jackson. He stood like a stone wall. Man, we're just rolling now. Let's do some more, baby. Give me some cards. Please write Technology of War. The technology of the battlefield. Technology of war. Here we go. Advancements in military technology, specifically mini balls, led to the change in strategy. Let me grab a mini ball real quick. Right? You writing that down? I'm getting a mini ball, right? Here we go. I got a mini ball right here. Check this out. Okay, this right here is a mini ball, and it was far more accurate than the other ammunition. So the other bullets. So new type of fighting, right? New style of fighting. Direct fighting in straight lines was extremely deadly. Now it took the soldiers a while, or really took the generals a while to figure this out. But by the end of the war, generals used more entrenched warfare. The point I'm making is, straight line fighting was one of the worst ideas because of the advancements in military technology, okay? Beautiful. Generals used entrenched warfare. Okay, perfect. Let's go to the next one. The Battle of Antietam. The Battle of Antietam. In 1862, Robert E. Lee invades the North, and he fights a big battle at Antietam. 1862. Battle in Maryland is a successful northern battle because it ended Lee's invasion of the North. It wasn't a huge win for the North. Some even say it was a tie. But when it was over, Lee had to go back down south. So in that way, you have to say that the North, they had some success at the Battle of Antietam. Abraham Lincoln was looking for some success so he could issue something, and he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Success at Antietam led Abraham Lincoln to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm supposed to remember this. I just always remember this. Antietam leads to freedom. Antietam, freedom. And freedom. Premium or not premium? That, of course, is premium. Hey, if we just did this, you know that the next card is going to be the Emancipation Proclamation. There's a bunch of stuff we need to know for this. This is going to be a longer card. We're going to need to write a little bit smaller for this one. You ready to roll? Here we go. Number 1, it freed slaves in the rebelling or Confederate states, but not in the border states. People mistakenly think that the Emancipation Proclamation freed all the slaves. It didn't. It only freed the slaves in the South, and only when the Union Army went to the South to free the slaves, okay? Did not free everybody. 2, made destruction of slavery a Northern war aim. Okay, it was designed to damage the South's ability to fight. The South used their slaves to do work while they fought. Well, if no one does work, that's hard for the Southern economy. So it's designed to make it harder to fight. Okay? 3, discourage interference from foreign governments. The Emancipation Proclamation makes freeing slaves a war cause. So why would Great Britain want to get involved and look bad for being in support of a nation with slavery, right? Makes the war more icky for Great Britain to get involved in. Go to 4. Allowed for the enlistment of African American soldiers in the Union Army. Now, you can have African American soldiers because of the Emancipation Proclamation, and won't they be motivated to fight for the North? Okay, last one, we got 5. Let's do one more. Provided the North with a moral purpose. The North has the moral high ground because the North is freeing slaves and the South is fighting to keep slaves. Wow, that was a big card. A lot of stuff there, man. We did some annotations in class. You want to look at those too for sure. But make sure you got enough to write down. Pause me right now. If you're still writing, please pause me. Pause me. Okay, you're good. Let's go to the next one. Please write women in the Civil War. Women in the Civil War. Men were fighting. What were women doing? They were managing homes and families with scarce resources. It says scare resources, but it's supposed to say scarce resources. Okay, not a lot. Someone had to manage the home and the families. They worked in agriculture, nursing, and war industries. The U.S. Sanitary Commission was formed to give medical supplies to the U.S. Army. So they helped out in other ways besides just fighting. Okay? We got this one. Good. Ready to go to the next one? Let's go to the next one. Now let's go to a quiz, baby. Hey, take those 4 cards out. Should we listen to By the Seaside? Yeah. I think that'd be a good idea. Why don't we listen to that? You take 2 minutes, you study, and I'll be reading The Definitive History of the Civil War. Wow, is it that? Wow, we're ready to go right now? You sure? Okay, let's do it. Take out a blank piece of paper. You can use the piece of paper that you've been working on. Remember, you don't have to turn these in to me. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Got them all labeled up, ready to go. Here we go. 1. Which type of fighting was avoided later in the war because it was too deadly? There was a type of fighting that if you did it, it was incredibly deadly. What was it called? What was it called? 2. The Emancipation Proclamation was issued after which battle? What was the name of the battle that happened and then the Emancipation Proclamation was issued? Cool. 3. Which of the following is more true? The Emancipation Proclamation was equality for all. Or the Emancipation Proclamation was designed to hurt the Confederates' ability to fight. Please put either a 1 if you think it's equality for all, or put a 2 if you think it's hurt the Confederates' ability to fight. Okay. Let's go to 4. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Who was allowed to fight in the Union Army because of the Emancipation Proclamation? Then there's another part of 4. Did the Emancipation Proclamation free all the slaves? Yes or no? Please write that answer down. Those answers down. Cool? So there's a lot of Emancipation Proclamation in this quiz, which makes me think it's going to be an important thing to study for the test, right? All right, you ready? Here we go. Go number 1. Which type of fighting was avoided later in the war because it was too deadly? Straight, direct line fighting. Direct line fighting in straight lines. I'm talking about lining up, shooting, and killing. That's a bad idea. 2. The Emancipation Proclamation was issued after which battle? What was the battle that happened and then the Emancipation Proclamation was issued? Cool. 3. Which of the following is more true? The Emancipation Proclamation was equality for all, or it was designed to hurt the Confederates' ability to fight? It is the second one. It's hurt the Confederates' ability to fight. Right? You free the slaves, it's harder for them to fight the war because they don't have that help. Think about the first one, guys. Equality for all. It's not equality for all. It doesn't free everybody. It only frees slaves in the South, not the border states. Go to 4. Who was allowed to fight in the Union Army because of the Emancipation Proclamation? The answer is African Americans. African Americans can fight in the Union Army. Go to 4, part 2. Did the Emancipation Proclamation free all the slaves? Free all the slaves? I just said it. No. It only freed the slaves in the South in the rebelling states. Sweet, good, great. You want to make 4 note cards? 4 more? I want to make 4 more. Please put the Battle of Vicksburg. V-I-C-K-S-B-U-R-G. In Vicksburg, Mississippi. Cool, you ready? Please put 1863, key Union victory, which gave the North control of the Mississippi River. Ulysses S. Grant was the general of the North. If you get the Mississippi River, you divide the Confederacy into 2 pieces. Well, it just got divided into 2 pieces. Cool. Hey, that card's done. Nice. Done, 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 done. Let's do another one. Please put the Battle of Gettysburg. Big one, right? You've heard of Gettysburg. You've learned about Gettysburg. Well, let me briefly tell you about Gettysburg. It was an 1863 Union victory which ended Lee's invasion of the North. Robert E. Lee is never going that far north again. Okay? And it was the biggest battle of the war, which is why some folks consider it to be the turning point of the war. Please write turning point of the Civil War. Battle of Gettysburg. Turning point of the Civil War. We got that card done, 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 done. Feel good, 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 good. Let's go to the next one. Gettysburg Address. Wow. The Gettysburg Address, one of America's most famous speeches. I bet it sounds something like this. Wait.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth...
Oh, I could listen to it all day long. I do. Here's our note card, though. Put Lincoln described the U.S. as a nation. Oh, this is an important quote. Dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. That comes from the Declaration of Independence. Now Lincoln is saying African Americans will start to be considered for this equality. But can we lose this country? Nah, nah, nah. The Civil War is a fight to preserve such a nation. If we lose the Civil War, who cares? Half of what was the United States will be ignoring that all men are created equal. You know, Lincoln described the government as being of the people, by the people, for the people. Remember, America is a great democratic experiment, right? And we can't lose it, you know? We can't lose this country. We must win the war. Okay? All right, we got that note card done. That's a bigger note card. I think we're going to do one more, then we're going to take quiz. Please put Grant in command of Union Army. Grant in command of Union Army. And by that I mean the whole army. And by that I mean Grant as General-in-Chief. Okay, the last time we had that was a guy named George Washington. Ever heard of him? Hey, please put 1864. Abraham Lincoln puts Ulysses S. Grant in charge of Union Army. Why? Why did he do it? Because he wanted to win, baby. Because you don't win with guys like Irving McDowell, guys like Johnny Pope, George McClellan, Ambrose E. Burnside, Joseph Hooker. You don't win with those guys. Grant's a winner. Please put this down. Lincoln hoped Grant would win battles unlike other previous Union commanders. And now, in 1864, the battle is Grant versus Lee. The North's best general is going up against the South's best general. Okay? All right, we good? Whoa, it's quiz time, is it? Incredible. Hey, should we listen to Apex? Yeah, I want to listen to Apex. Study for 1 to 2 minutes. You pick how long you want to do. Hey, while you're studying, I'll be reading The Definitive History of the Civil War. Okay, I guess it's time. Take a piece of paper, let's label it 1. Label it 2. 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Here we go. 1. What did the Battle of Vicksburg give the United States control of? What did the Battle of Vicksburg give the United States control of? Something was controlled by winning. 2. Which battle was the turning point of the Civil War? 3. In the Gettysburg Address, Lincoln declared the Civil War to be a war to preserve something. What? What did he want the Civil War to preserve? He said it in the Gettysburg Address. Tell you what, man. Shh. This mini ball is pretty sweet. Hey, go to 4. Why did Lincoln put Grant in command of the entire army? Why did Lincoln look at Grant and say, hey, Grant, you're my guy? Okay. Here we go. You ready to do this one? Number 1. What did the Battle of Vicksburg give the North control over? The answer is the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River. Cool. Hey, 2. Which battle was the turning point of the Civil War? That was the Battle of Gettysburg. Gettysburg is the turning point of the Civil War. Go to 3. In the Gettysburg Address, Lincoln declared the Civil War to be a war to preserve what? Okay, you can say a couple things. To preserve the Union, or to preserve the United States, or to preserve the country, or to preserve a country dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal, right? You can say all of that. Yeah, but we can't lose the war. We can't break this country up. Go to 4. Why did Lincoln put Grant in command of the entire army? To win. Because he desired victories. He needed somebody to win and to beat Robert E. Lee. You got something like that, you're good, great, awesome. You're feeling good, you're looking good, right? Yes, sir. Let's go, let's get some note cards out, man. We're rolling, baby. We are way more than halfway done, all right? You're going to be doing so good on this test, you're going to love it. New note card, please say the surrender of the South. The night they drove old Dixie down. The surrender of the South. Okay? Couple things. Reasons for surrender include, these are not the only reason for surrender, but these are some reasons for the surrender of the South. 1, the fall of Atlanta. Atlanta will burn as part of Sherman's march to the sea. Atlanta burns. Confederate soldier desertion. No, that doesn't mean they were eating desserts. It means that they left the army to go home and take care of their families in a time of need. And 3rd, diminished Southern morale. It was still, pretty high, but it had gone down a little bit because of the major battles that were being lost as Grant defeated Lee consistently in the Overland campaign and kept pushing him around. Okay, now let's put Confederate surrender. Here we go. In 1865, Robert E. Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox, Virginia. It's just a little bit west of Richmond. Appomattox is the spot. Okay? Hey, some Southern soldiers told Lee to use guerrilla warfare against the United States after the war. Lee rejected this idea. Robert E. Lee thought it was a terrible idea. It would rip the country apart. They wanted to hide out in the mountains and shoot as many Union soldiers as they could for as long as they could. Lee rejected this idea. Lee said, no way. No way. No way. Hey, you got it? You good? You got it? Pause me if you don't. If you're good, let's go. Lee after the war. What did Robert E. Lee do after the Civil War? This is actually quite interesting. Lee urged Southerners to accept defeat and to unite as Americans again. Hey, South, we lost the war. Get over it. We're moving on. After the war, Lee emphasized education and became president of Washington College. It's now known as Washington and Lee. He would die as president of Washington College. It's in Lexington, Virginia. Okay? So he's emphasizing education. All right? That's what Lee did. Didn't do anything military-wise. Just did all that stuff. Hey, cool. You want to do a quiz? That was an easy one, man. We just ripped out some cards. That was beautiful. Do you guys want to do, silk? Yeah, let's do silk. I think that's a good idea. 1 or 2 minutes. Oh, I was just reading the definitive history of the Civil War. Okay, let's go. Let's do a quiz. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and 4. A 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. You ready? Here we go. List 2 facts which led to the Confederate surrender. I gave you 3 reasons, 3 causes of surrender. List 2 of the 3. Okay? Cool. Take a second. Cool. Now, 2. Where did Lee surrender to Grant? Where did Robert E. Lee surrender to Ulysses S. Grant? Where was the place that happened? Must have happened somewhere, huh? Go to 3. What did some Southerners want Lee to do after the war? Give you a hint. It wasn't a nice thing. How about that? What do they want Lee to do after the war? Cool. Let's go to 4. What did Lee become after the Civil War? Like, what was his job after the Civil War? Please put down what Robert E. Lee's job was after the Civil War. Are we good? Are we great? Are we awesome? Do we feel good? Do we look good? Yep. Cool. Here we go. Oh, let's talk about them. Number 1, list 2 facts which led to the Confederate desertion. You could have said the fall of Atlanta. You could have said high Southern desertion, right? Southerners leaving the army. Or you could have said a diminished Southern morale. Morale was down in the South. Those would be. There are other reasons, but those are 3 reasons right there. 2, where did Lee surrender to Grant? At Appomattox, Virginia. Appomattox Courthouse. That's where the war was over. 3, what did some Southerners want Lee to do after the war? They wanted him to fight guerrilla warfare. They wanted guerrilla warfare against the North. They wanted to go into the mountains and rip the country apart into shreds. And Lee said, no. Lee said, I will not do that. Okay? 4, what did Lee become after the Civil War? He became the president of Washington College. President of a university in Lexington, Virginia. And today it's called Washington and Lee. Are we good? Are we got that yourself graded? Feeling good? Here we go. Let's do the next one. Please put Lincoln's lenient Reconstruction. Lincoln's lenient Reconstruction. What does lenient mean? It means gentle. It means easy. Hey, Abe's a nice guy, right? He's going to be nice to the South? You betcha. Lincoln believed the South should not be severely punished. That's a very key idea. Lincoln did not think the South should be punished severely. Okay? Perfect. Hey, he said, with malice towards none, with charity for all, to bind up our nation's wound. What he's talking about is his plan for Reconstruction. Malice means hatred, hatred towards none. Charity is good, charity for all, and to bind up our nation's wounds. He thought that's the only way we can make something happen. Okay? All right, perfect. And then put Lincoln's assassination ended a lenient Reconstruction. Lincoln's assassination ended a lenient Reconstruction. A lenient Reconstruction simply is not going to happen with Lincoln's assassination. It will change into something different. All right? So Lincoln would have been good to the South, but he got killed, so we don't have anybody being nice to the former Confederacy. Hey, speaking of not nice, that would be the Radical Republicans. Radical Republicans believed in punishing the South. Why? Well, they didn't trust the South. Well, a couple reasons, but one was they didn't trust the South. They thought if you're nice to the South and let them do what they want, they're just going to rise up again and become their own Confederate country again. So they had no trust in the South. The only way to keep track of them, beat them down. They also believe in extending civil rights to freed African Americans. African Americans should have basic civil rights, according to the Radical Republicans. You know who they hated? They hated President Andrew Johnson. They battled frequently with President Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson was the president after Abraham Lincoln. He was his vice president. He'll become his president. Okay, are we good? Are we good? Are we great? Are we awesome? Do we feel good? Feel good? Feel good? Oh, here comes another one. Please put 13th Amendment. We're going to knock out 3 amendments right here. 13th Amendment. Ready? What did it do? It abolished slavery in the United States of America. For the Confederate States to rejoin the Union, they had to adopt the 13th Amendment. There will be no slavery in the United States because of the 13th Amendment. There's a way to remember it. Free. Okay? Please write free in all caps, nice and bold for 13th Amendment. Ready? What was the 14th Amendment? Please write 14th Amendment. New note card, new note card, new note card. Please put 14th Amendment. All right. Please put states were prohibited from denying equal rights under the law to any American. Please write that out. States were prohibited from denying equal rights from under the law to any American. So picture this, guys. Here's an American. We're really talking about African Americans right now. So, woo. Do they get rights? Yeah, they got rights. Okay? Well, rights of like being a citizenship. Being a citizen, right? Some southern states wanted to take away those rights. The 14th Amendment says a state cannot take away equal rights under the law to any American. This gave full citizenship and equal protections under the law to African Americans. African Americans are going to be citizens. They're going to have the protections that the law gives citizens. And what is the word you're going to put down here? If we had free for 13, I want you to put citizens. Nice and long. I want you to put citizens, please. Citizens. Cool? Are we good? Pause me if you're not. Let's go to 15. Please put 15th Amendment. 15th Amendment. I want you to write in, voting rights were guaranteed regardless of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. This is the right to vote for African Americans, African American men. Okay? So you're writing that down, then I want you to put vote. I want you to put vote. So, how do you remember the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments? We'll start with 13. It's the unlucky number, right? It sticks out. Start with 13. And then I want you to tell yourself this. I want you to tell yourself, ready? Watch this. Free citizens vote. Remember that. Remember free citizens vote, and you'll remember these amendments. Cool, great, awesome. Oh my goodness gracious, it's quiz time. Hey, do you guys want to listen to Bulletin? Yeah, I think we should do that. Hey, you study 1 to 2 minutes. You guys decide. I'll be reading the definitive history of the Civil War. Pause me. Okay, get a piece of paper. 1. Label it 2. Label it 3. Label it 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, great, awesome. Love it. You in love with it? Let's go number 1. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is a... Oh, you lucky ducks. Guys, I'm so sorry. This is... I didn't write... Oh, my gosh, this is embarrassing. I forgot to write the quiz questions. We'll just go to the next one. Pretend this never happened. Take out some note cards, note cards, note cards, note cards, note cards, note cards. Let's do the last set, guys. Please put Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson. Andrew, not Andrew Jackson. Not Stonewall Jackson. Andrew Jackson. Okay. He was against punishing the South and against rights for freed African Americans. He clashed with radical Republicans. Hey, somewhere right in there, right in president, right? We said it already, but he was the president after Abraham Lincoln, and he was against rights for freed African Americans, and he clashed with radical Republicans. Okay, cool. Last thing, you know, Andrew Johnson was impeached by the radical Republicans. They hated him because he didn't want to punish the South and because he was against rights for freed African Americans. So they made this law called the Tenure of Office Act, which basically said if you want to do anything, you got to ask us first. Well, he fired someone and never asked the radical Republicans. So he was impeached. He was impeached. Impeached doesn't mean kicked out of office. It means charged. He was charged with doing something wrong. But when he went to the Senate, he was acquitted by the Senate. To acquit means to say, we're not going to charge, or we're not going to convict you. We're not going to kick you out of office. You can stay in office. Okay? Cool. Awesome. Good. Next card, please put Supreme Court and Reconstruction. All right, so you got all these African Americans in the South. They get the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment. Does the Supreme Court back them up? No! After the Civil War, Supreme Court decisions undermined the 14th and 15th Amendments. Undermined them, right? Meaning did not back them up. An example of this was Plessy versus Ferguson. And in Plessy versus Ferguson, a guy named Homer Plessy challenged segregation laws, and it was stated that separate but equal did not violate the 14th Amendment. What that means is it's okay to have segregation. Segregation doesn't violate the 14th Amendment, right? Okay, cool. Got it. Pause me if you don't. Let's go to the next one, the next one, the next one. Please put Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, Frederick Douglass, Frederick Douglass. This is our last card. Oh my gosh. Hey, please put advocated for passage of the 14th and 15th Amendments. He wanted citizenship for African Americans. He wanted voting rights for African Americans. Please put that down. Those are the things that he advocated for, okay? Hey, he served as an ambassador to Haiti and in the civil service. You know what's cool about that? Frederick Douglass was born in Maryland into slavery. He was an escaped slave who then became friends with Abraham Lincoln, lived in a country that got rid of slavery, gave citizenship, and gave voting rights to African Americans, and now he represents the country in Haiti. And he worked in the civil service. That's pretty cool, right? Hey, I'm sorry. My B, one more card. This is a big key Civil War sequence. It'll go through the Civil War. It'll go through Reconstruction. You ready? Ah! Oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff there. I want you to write Fort... You know what? I want you to just pause me right now and copy all of this. And then unpause me and I'll explain it all. You ready? Pause me now. Okay. Fort Sumter is the first shots fired of the Civil War, the first confrontation. After that, we get a real war with real battles. The first battle is the first Battle of Manassas. Stonewall Jackson's the hero. And the next year, we have the Battle of Antietam. And the North gets some success. So Antietam leads to freedom and the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation frees the slaves in the South. But you don't have a turning point. The turning point comes at the Battle of Gettysburg. After Gettysburg, things are starting to look better for the North. They'll end well for the North because Appomattox is where the surrender happens. You know, right after Appomattox, 5 days after Appomattox, Abraham Lincoln is assassinated, which means Andrew Johnson, his vice president, becomes the president of the United States. Johnson is president of the United States, and then he goes away, and Ulysses S. Grant becomes president of the United States. He was against punishing the South, for rights of African Americans, and he was president for most of Reconstruction. Reconstruction will end with a compromise of 1877, which allowed Rutherford B. Hayes to be president, took the military out of the South, but the problem was that African Americans are not supported by the U.S. military in the South, which allows Jim Crow laws to come into effect, which allows former Confederates to take over the governments of the South. Cool? Now it's quiz time. Finally, it's quiz time, our last quiz. Are we going to do Hillside? No, we've done Hillside. Ooh, what about Presto? Yeah, let's do Presto. Hey, you guys set Presto for 2 minutes. Read this. Read your cards. I'll be reading The Definitive History of the American Civil War. Is it the last time? Is it our last one? Here we go. Take out something to write with. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. You ready? You ready? You ready? Let's go! Number 1. Did Andrew Johnson get impeached? Did the Senate convict or acquit him? So yes or no, did he get impeached? And then if that's true, did he get convicted or acquitted? What do you think? Did he get impeached? Did he get convicted or acquitted? 2. What did the Supreme Court undermine after Reconstruction? What did the Supreme Court undermine after Reconstruction? They undermined something. What was it? 3. Where did Frederick Douglass serve as an ambassador to after Reconstruction? Where did he serve as an ambassador to after Reconstruction? Cool. 4. What was the first conflict of the Civil War? 4's got 3 parts. What was the first conflict of the Civil War? What happened after the Battle of Antietam? And what happened after Grant is elected president? There's a conflict. Something happens after a battle. What happened when Grant was elected president? What came next? All right, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Awesome. Pause me if we're not. If we're good, we're going to go over these. Number 1, did Andrew Johnson get impeached? Yes, the radical Republicans impeached him for violating the Tenure of Office Act. Did he get convicted or acquitted? He was acquitted. He was acquitted by the Senate. 2, what did the Supreme Court undermine after Reconstruction? They undermined the 14th and 15th Amendments. That includes Plessy versus Ferguson, which undermined the 14th Amendment. 3, where did Frederick Douglass serve as an ambassador to after Reconstruction? That is Haiti. It's cool because it shows how much that African American rights have increased. 4, what was the first conflict of the Civil War? The first conflict was Fort Sumter because that's where the first shots were fired. What happened after the Battle of Antietam? The Emancipation Proclamation was issued. Antietam leads to freedom. And then finally, what happened after Grant is elected president? The Compromise of 1877, which ends Reconstruction. All right, we are done. You do this, you'll be looking real good for the test coming up. Feel free to watch this video again. It was a pleasure studying with you.